Hi friends, welcome back to the new tutorial series. This series is all about how I made a scene like this. Here I used 3ds Max to model the object like the floor, column, small wall and the wood. And I used Blender to set up the scene and final rendering. All the textures which I used were created in Adobe Photoshop, and the final color correction and the manipulations are also done in Adobe Photoshop. So let's get started. We start with modeling the floor. So open up 3ds Max and draw a plane on the top angle view. Make its length as 850 and width as 300, and make the length and width segment as 1 and convert this to an editable poly. Come to the front view. With the border selection tool, extrude the border along Z axis. Then jump to the top view. With the uniform scale tool, extrude the border again along the X and Y axis. Reposition the vertices to achieve a uniform shape. Repeat these steps twice. And the result will be something like this. Put a default material on it and change the object color to black. For applying a smoothing group, we need to connect all the sharp edges. Come to top view, select this polygon and insert it with an amount of 3. And select one of the bottom corner edge and ring it and connect it with the 2 segments and make the pinch value to 35. Next, pick up this edge and ring it. This time change the pinch value to 97. Repeat these 2 steps for remaining corner edges. Next step is to chamfer the corners. So select one edge from here, make a loop, then ring the selection. Have a look on the selection. The 4 corner edges are selected. Chamfer it with 2 segments and an edge chamfer amount of 3.5. Select the whole element and apply a smoothing group on it. You can see the result on the viewport. Next thing is to unwarp the floor object for texturing. Put an unwarp modifier on it. Select one of the middle edge from here. Made a loop and convert the edge selection to seams. Repeat the same procedure for remaining 3 corner edges. Thus the result will be something like this. Select the polygon here and expand the selection. Weld and click on Start Weld and come to the tools and relax the UV. This time select Relax by Face and Angles and start relaxing. Rotate this UV and scale it down. This will be our UV map for the floor object. Render this UV template. Put 2048 in width and height and hit on Rendering UV template. And save this as a JPEG. You can also save it as a PNG file. Next, create a texture for this floor object using Adobe Photoshop. Here we are using 2 images. First one is the concrete texture and the another is the mosses texture. You can download these textures from the link given in the description below. Jump to Photoshop, open our UV template, unlock it and open our concrete texture and drag it on the UV template and flip it to 90 degree and scale it down. Make a copy of this and scale it up. Merge these 2 layers. Make one more copy of this. Apply a layer mask on this layer. With a soft brush selected, mask some portion of this image. Place the UV template on top of these layers and change its blend mode to screen. Put a different color label for this layer and lock it. Merge these 2 concrete layers also. Now we need to apply mosses texture on it. Open up the mosses texture and add a layer mask. Here we are using a mask image. Copy this mask image and apply into the layer mask and crop the unwanted areas and apply the mask. Then drag it over the texture. Copy and paste these textures where all are we need mosses to be appear on this object. Have a look on the final render. Here I placed it at the edges of the floor object. Same way to here also. Pick up the clone stamp tool with the dirty brush selected. Clone all these sharp cut areas. And the final result will be look like this. Save the texture as PSD. Now have a look how this texture appear on object. Jump to 3ds Max, choose one material and put this texture as a bitmap and apply it on the object. OK. We completed the modeling and texturing of the floor object. Export this object as an OBJ for Blender. In the export setting, change the faces to polygons and choose Blender preset and leave all other setting as it is and hit on export. Let's create the wall. For modeling this texture, I am using a blueprint here. We need to carve our object as the shape shown in the blueprint. Come to 3ds Max, draw a plane in the left view and put the dimensions of the blueprint into the length and width of the plane. Open up material editor, choose one material and add our blueprint in the diffuse as a bitmap and apply it on the plane. Come to the left view, with the line tool selected, draw the shape. Select the vertices and fillet, and also use fillet tool to make the curved portions, and reposition the vertices to achieve the same shape in the blueprint. Repeat the same procedure for remaining vertices. Delete the blueprint for this time. Make a copy of this shape and flip it and position it properly. Make these two vertices close to each other and attach these two shapes. Select both these vertices and weld it. This is the shape which we need. Next, apply an extrude modifier on it and increase the amount. Convert this object to editable poly and increase the length of this object by dragging these vertices. Connect these edges with two segments and a pinch value of 99. Reposition its pivot to center and apply a smoothing group on it. Unwarp this object by adding an unwarp UVW modifier on it. Repeat the same unwarping procedure which we did earlier. This time also put 2040-80 in width and height. Render the UV template and save it as JPEG. Open our UV template in Adobe Photoshop. We have the same concrete and mosses texture here. In addition to this, we have a drip map. It is something look like water leaks texture. Unlock the UV layer and drag the concrete texture over it. Flip it and make one more copy. Place the UV layer on the top and lock it. Drag the mosses texture here and scale it down. Apply the mask on it and delete the unwanted areas. And place the mosses texture at the bottom of this object. And also add the drip map. Here I am adding this on the two top edges of the wall. The result will be look like this. Save this texture as PSD. From this texture, we also need to make a bump map for this object. For that, hide all the layer except the concrete texture, and in level controls, increase its black and white values. And save this also as a PSD file. Jump to 3ds Max and apply the created texture on the object. And finally, export this as an OBJ file for Blender. I am ending this part here. In the next part, we will continue our modeling and texturing of the remaining objects for this scene. Friends, you are watching tutorials from the Tute YouTube channel. For more tutorials, don't forget to subscribe this channel and also enable the bell icon for getting latest updates. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.